So as the title of the video suggests, trying to see if the Bucks won or lost free agency. The main things that happened were they brought everybody back except for Malcolm Brogdon, who went to Indiana because the Pacers were offering him too much money for the Bucks to be able to re-sign him, or to at least be comfortable with re-signing him. And they signed like George Hill and Wesley Matthews to hopefully be replacements for Brogdon, but they also gave Chris Middleton a max contract. They signed Brook Lopez for quite a few years. And the first thing I'll start with is the importance of Malcolm Brogdon. He might have been their second best player in the playoffs. He was definitely better than Eric Bledsoe for a stretch, especially against the Raptors. And he was the one other guy for the Bucks who you could be confident in just him having the ball, let alone taking a shot. I mean, his percentages were better than pretty much everybody's in that whole series. I guess him and George Hill could be the two that were really good for the Bucks. I mean, Middleton wasn't bad, but they just gave this guy a max contract, and Brogdon is now gone. So this is kind of where the topic of all this comes from for me. So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to replace Brogdon. I mean, is there a chance that another Brogdon could be available in the draft? I mean, potentially, but nowadays with so many guys who go into college early, it's tough to find a, 22-year-old I think Brogdon was, who could just do everything pretty well and have the confidence to make shots and have the ball in a big playoff series. I mean, do you feel confident with Bledsoe at all in the postseason moving forward? I mean, at this point, you have to be skeptical. I think Middleton proved against the Raptors that if you ask him to do too much of like creating his own offense, the guy just can't really do it. So for Brogdon to be gone, I mean, it's not ideal. Now, that being said, there's a chance Bledsoe doesn't suck moving forward because he was very good in the regular season. There's also a chance, this isn't a chance, this is a guarantee. Giannis is going to improve, and Giannis, I bet, learned a lot of good things against the Raptors and things of his game that he needs to improve on and things like that, whether it's passing or post-ups, and of course his jumper is getting better. I mean, he shot 33% on 21 attempts in that series, so to think that the Bucks are done improving because Brogdon's gone, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying again is we could get into a deep, tough playoff series with this team, and we could start looking around and being like, can anybody make a tough shot or go off the dribble besides Giannis right now? Now, even when I'm saying all this, it's not like Brogdon set the world on fire for the entire series. He had some bad games himself, but he also had some damn good ones, and also I think we were all already skeptical going into that series on whether the other guys on the Bucks were really good enough. Now, I say that, I still picked them to make the finals, so I'm not saying that this team is suddenly going to fall apart without Brogdon again, but those skepticisms were already there. I think they were kind of confirmed against the Raptors, and they lost one of those guys, so it's only going to make it tougher on the guys that are still there, not named Giannis, you know? Now, can George Hill and Wesley Matthews give you some of that production? I mean, some of it, sure. Neither one of them can do really what Brogdon can do. I don't think George Hill, at this age, can beat guys off the bounce the way Brogdon could, or play in the pick and roll like he could. Could he make shots like Brogdon? Yeah, sometimes. I think Wesley Matthews is a similar thing, and defensively, Wesley Matthews could be about Brogdon at this point, but neither one of those two are the combination of what Brogdon is, so I don't think they're really going to get the replacement out of him through those guys. Now, if we talk about the other things the Bucks did, they gave Chris Middleton a max contract, and they also gave Brook Lopez a multi-year deal where he's getting about $12 million a year. I think that one was fine. I think Lopez's spacing and all that, and the cost that it took was pretty cool. The Middleton max, so I was flat out wrong. I predicted that it wasn't going to take a max contract, and my thought process was teams learned from the summer of whenever it was, where everybody got the maxes, and, you know, Bledsoe took less money, so Middleton would take it. Not the case at all. Chris Middleton is clearly not a max player. I think we would all agree on that one, but I think the big thing this would do is send the message to Giannis that the front office is not messing around, because that's the most important thing, is is Giannis satisfied? Is Giannis happy? Because if he leaves, then all this is for nothing, of course, right? So if you have to give Chris Middleton a max contract in order to do that, then you give Chris Middleton a max contract, and you don't feel very good about it, but you act like it was the greatest signing you ever made to the media and all that. And if they would have let him go, I think that would have been way too risky to then try to get somebody else. Now, how much flexibility does this team have moving forward to actually make moves? So, the plan is to re-sign Giannis after the 2021 season, of course, and that'll be the Supermax, which would push them either really close to the luxury tax for that season and moving forward, or it would maybe give them a little bit of a buffer, potentially put them over it, whatever. Until then, they basically have 2 years of mid-level exceptions, and you can match salaries on trades, and they do have some tradable contracts between George Hill and Ilyasova, and I guess Robin Lopez and a first-round pick might be able to get you a good player on a rookie deal, although I don't know which team would be willing to trade a good rookie for that. But there's those kinds of things that are out there. But the only other significant move I think they could make would be if they had a real trade for a star or something. And is that possible? Well, I think if Brogdon was on this team, probably a little bit more. I mean, if I'm some team like the Wizards, Bradley Beal is on the table, am I going to want Chris Middleton, who's now on a max contract, and some other stuff? No, not really. Now, if you would have given me Brogdon on a cool deal and 2 picks and something else, depending on the other offers, you could have had my attention. Now, are Bledsoe or Lopez getting you some star in return if it really comes to that? I don't know. I mean, my gut tells me no, but crazier things have happened. So this team kind of is what it is. We're not going to see this team with just a boatload of cap space at any point for a while here, because I'm pretty sure the main 4 salaries, Middleton, Giannis, Bledsoe, and Lopez, is going to take them to over $100 million. Now, I guess, is it kind of possible that if they cleared the money off of everyone except those 4 guys, that they could make a splash in free agency? Potentially, depending on where the cap goes, but even then, Middleton's contract's gonna end up being $40 million by the end of it, and it's gonna be $35 within a couple of seasons. So I guess it's possible, but number one, it doesn't seem like this team really wants to operate that way. Number two, it would just be really frickin' wild, and they don't even have all their picks moving forward. They have 2 picks going out over the next few seasons, and makes it a little tougher for you to get off of the George Hill contracts of the world and things like that. Another thing to say is they will still have mid-levels, I think, biannual exceptions maybe. Those are opportunities to get players. I mean, is there a chance that Giannis, with just a really well-done roster around him, and hopefully maybe Middleton just gets a little better to make tough shots and run more offense through them in a playoff series, is that team good enough to win a title? Assuming there's no super team in LA with Kawhi, LeBron, and AD, I'll say yes. Sure, it would have to mean that Giannis is maybe definitely the best player in the league, but I think we would all agree that's definitely possible. So I think overall, did they knock it out of the park with this free agency? I don't think so. I mean, they gave Chris Middleton way too much damn money, and Brogdon left. Now, were those things unavoidable? Yeah, potentially, but they still happened. So I'll just say, overall, they still won, because you have to assume Giannis is happy. But when you consider that they lost a real core member, and there's a chance that Middleton and Bledsoe are never going to be good enough to really be that second guy in a playoff series. So yeah, I don't know anything I just said, but the Bucks are still looking pretty good.